action.
So I grew up in Humboldt County, although I was born in Southern California at about 5, 6 years of age. My mother and my brother and I moved up to Humboldt County, really close to some of the well known redwood forests, and lived in a small town, Fortuna, that's still pretty small, under I think 20,000 people still at this point. And we had a little bit of land, about an acre. My stepsister had a horse at various times. I remember having ducks, rabbits. We always had a cat or two, and had Pasha, a dog that was around since I was born, that I loved dearly. It was kind of a rural setting, but there were like grocery stores, in Fortuna, and typical businesses in Fortuna. It wasn't that small. All there are towns up there that just have maybe a couple hundred people, and their downtown is a post office and a little gas station, and that's it. Fortuna had more things, and then nearby was Eureka, that was even bigger, and they have a Costco now, but not back then. But yeah, it was more a little bit of a rural kind of life. So I grew up in a family where my parents were Bible believers, and I decided to follow their path, and I joined the faith that my parents had. There's no infant baptism in my faith, so when people come of age, they can make their own decision. It's not any particular age, but I decided to become officially a member of the congregation of that faith. And so when that happens, it's are the decisions that I'm making in my life, do they follow the principles of the Bible and the wisdom in the Bible? Am I working in harmony with that? So it can color all aspects of life, but for me, it's been in a very positive way. So big emphasis is made on developing a conscience that considers how one's decisions can affect people around us, if the decisions are ethically good and moral, and if it will please God. So big decisions like the kind of work that I do, or how I spend my time, the kind of entertainment, it can cross many areas of life, and it influences decisions for those things. When I was young, my mother, she always was into natural things. Like she would do her own juice fasting, seasonal cleansing. She really believed in chiropractic and acupressure, acupuncture, herbs, homeopathy. I grew up with her talking about these things, using them. She always would go to the little natural and health food stores up there. And she would get organic produce if possible. She did grow for a period of time food. We had a nice garden. Um, so it was just part of like observing how my mother lived. She had a reflexology book that I just thought that was so fascinating, how stimulating nerve endings in certain parts of the hand or the foot could help parts of the body or organs that weren't anywhere near the hands or feet function better or help people get relief. And I just thought it was so cool how there's this interconnected system in the body that can react that way, and it could be used to help people. And I would rub my mother's feet. She worked in a department store for a number of years, and so she would have really sore feet because they wouldn't let them sit while they were on the floor taking care of customers. So she'd come home with really sore legs and feet. She seemed to benefit from me working on her. I would try to follow the directions in the reflexology book or look at it. I also did that with my stepdad, and they both enjoyed it. And so I got pleasure out of them enjoying it. I think that might have been like the start of me kind of in the back of my mind considering body work um, as a potential way of earning a living, especially when I ended up in Southern California. I had started helping my mother a little bit take care of my grandmother, who I just adored. She ended up with Parkinson's, and it started a little, while I was still in high school. I would sometimes go over to her house and stay with her at night, make sure she could get in and out of bed okay. Everything else she could do, like if she had to use the restroom, she could do. But it was getting in and out of bed. That's the first kind of how it really affected her. And then it progressed. So eventually, my uncle built a little mother in law house behind where I lived, my mom's house. And she was right there on the property with us, but in a separate living building. And I would help my mother on the weekends take care of her. And I just kind of was willing to continue doing that. I really loved her, loved spending time with her. It was difficult on me physically because I would help her at night on the weekends, and sometimes I didn't get much sleep, and that affected me physically. But it was a labor of love, and to help my mother and to help my grandmother. And I just kind of was planning on keeping that up and getting a job at an office nearby, one of the towns nearby in Fortuna or Eureka. I don't think I had a hardcore plan. It was more a case of circumstances and an opportunity that met. So after I got married and we ended up moving to South Orange County, after a few years of doing office kind of like jobs, I was like, I really would like to do something more, learn something. My brain was craving some knowledge, but um, I remembered how much I enjoyed doing the reflexology on my mother, and I would also naturally be able to find sore spots on people's shoulders, people's necks, and they would be relieved of the pain. They said they would feel better. So I said, maybe I'd be a good massage therapist. This was back in 2000. So my husband and I researched a couple of schools. I had heard that Healing Hands School of Holistic Health, which is a local school, they had really good teachers. So we went there and signed up for the program, and I started in 2000. At that time, where we lived, a city where I wanted to work, which is the city of Dana Point. Dana Point only required 100 hours, and then you have to get fingerprinted and stuff like that. But then you could, if everything checked out okay, you could work at a place that was licensed by the city to do massage. So I did my first 100 hours. I really enjoyed it, found a job pretty quickly, at a place called Olympic Touch. It's not in business anymore, but they were wonderful owners, and I just kept taking classes from there as I could. But I started working right away, and I really enjoyed it. It was exciting and helping people that way. Yeah, I just thought that was the most amazing thing, like in my mother's book. And also, I experienced the benefit personally. My piano teacher also did reflexology. I experienced horrible seasonal allergies where my eyes would water so much. A friend of my mother one time, um, she saw me in this state, and I was young enough where they said, "Oh, did you get a spanking?" And I was like, "No, I just have really bad hay fever and allergies." But literally, my eyes would run and itch. I would just give up after a while and just let them go. And my piano teacher did reflexology on me, and it gave me a few days of significant relief afterwards that always stuck with me. It was one of the most painful experiences I had. It's kind of the nature of reflexology sometimes, but it really, really lessened how bad the symptoms were, and it gave me relief for a few days. So that got impressed on my mind, and I enjoyed doing it, enjoyed giving reflexology. And um, so when I decided to get into body work to be a reflexologist, uh, there were two paths open legally for me to do that. One was through the cosmetology route, where I learned to be a manicure and pedicurist. And the other route was massage, where I could get licensed to touch almost the whole body. And thought about it, the reason why I wanted to do reflexology was to help with people's health, and massage was a better fit with that. So I chose the massage school. And as it happens, I am still really fascinated with reflexology. I don't do a lot of it. It's not a practice that people are very apt to get services for. Reflexology a lot of times requires people to get treatments 3 to 5 times a week and then gradually spread the treatments out, depending on their health issue and how serious it is. And I think, just the pace of life and maybe how much that would take out of their time. It's not what a lot of people are able to do, maybe, or willing to do, for a half an hour treatment 3 4 times a week to start out with. So I do reflexology still, but I incorporate it in full body work or as a supportive technique. And that's like where I'm at with that right now. But I really enjoy it. So reflexology is not something that people do readily around here, just to come in for like half-hour treatments 3 to 4 times a week. So I incorporate it more in the body work that I do if I think it would help people and if they're open to it. And I still really enjoy doing it, but in that context now. The school that I went to, Healing Hands, was really good at offering a variety of elective courses. So students could get a taste of different, I guess, approaches. So there were a lot of um, um, Chinese or Oriental techniques, Eastern techniques that I tried, Zen Shiatsu, uh, Chinese medical theory, where we did a little bit of the moxibustion and the gua shaing and things like that. Learned about the elements. They also had great classes, somatic movement therapy, Thomas Hanna somatics. So don't be afraid to try a variety of bodywork techniques and see what really clicks. And there's a lot of interesting dots that can be connected. Thomas Hanna somatics, for example, it's another thing I'm really fascinated with, how the body, mental and emotional and physical states all feed into each other and can affect each other, and how certain gentle movements can actually help people emotionally, mentally, and also unlock unhealthy contraction patterns in the body that people are holding. So be curious and don't be afraid to try something that is really fascinating to you, want to explore. You never know where it's going to take you. Knowledge is facts, and to me, they're like tools in a toolbox. But wisdom, along with understanding, is using those facts to the benefit of of myself. So I can have a lot of facts and knowledge in my head, but how am I using that knowledge and those facts to benefit myself, improve my life, or to help others, and to sow something better now that I can reap benefits in the future. So wisdom is also far-sighted. It's not just about the immediate results. It's about the long-term benefits. And quite honestly, sometimes certain decisions in the short term may seem like, oh, that's going to make things more difficult, or not going to it's going to make things more challenging. It's not going to make things easier, but the long-term benefits, wisdom looks at the long-term benefits as well, the consequences, kind of like looking down the hall of consequences, trying to extrapolate to the best of the ability what really certain actions are going to do, and is it going to be helpful and add something beneficial to this world, or is it just going to be for selfish short-term gain? Well, three main areas for me where I gained wisdom is I learned from my own experiences and try not to repeat decisions that turned out bad in the past, right? Um, learn be observant of other people and be willing to learn from other people, which includes both making good decisions, and we can learn from people who made bad decisions. We can learn what not to do. Well, for me, and I understand people come from different backgrounds and choose different paths in life, and those are to be absolutely respected. But for me, the key to happiness would be to, um, make sure I follow God's wisdom for me in the Bible, and I know there are many holy holy writings that people respect, and I respect other people's choices. But for me, I found the Bible and principles in the Bible have been so beneficial. They've helped me stave off maybe a lot of bad decisions that could have had bad consequences. So if I can stay true to that and make sure I'm acting in a way that's pleasing to God, I think that greatly adds, for me personally, to my happiness. Maybe we don't have to learn everything ourselves the hard way. We can learn from experiences and history and other people on what to do and also what not to do to avoid unnecessary problems that can take up a lot of time and energy in life, sometimes in unexpected ways. I think I would like to be remembered as somebody that was genuine, that really tried to be honest, that was open to at least hearing out other people. And, I'm the type of person that's willing to agree to disagree, and that I was the type of person that was respectful, that people have a right to make their own choices, but that I was strong and firm with my own convictions. Honestly, that, uh, my love and care for people was genuine. I hope that comes across to people.